Hello and welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. How we doing today, Joe? Happy November.
Happy November. Wow. And you know what that means? The Flyers are more than 4 points out of a playoff spot, and it's like 90% of a failure rate of making the playoffs when you're that far out.
Yeah, this
Sorry.
team is not making the playoffs. This team's how many points out of the playoffs? Well, they have 9 points. Last wildcard right now has 13 points. So 4 points. There you go. Four points out. Still within reach there.
Oh no. If you're 4 points or more out, it's a 90% chance that you're not making
the
playoffs.
So you have to be within 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they're within 3 points of the Senators, who have a better point percentage than the Bruins. So maybe you can squint there and still have some hope for this team. But I don't know exactly how you can have hope for this team, even with the most orange tinted glasses right now.
No. Well, it is what it is. How you doing, Gilbs?
I'm doing all right. It's Monday. It's Flyers, horrible weekend game. Flyers still not looking good at all. They got the win Thursday. I was there. Great seats. It wasn't an exciting game. It was just very boring. And I got the win. I was happy to see a win finally. But yeah, and then Saturday's game couldn't score. So couldn't really do anything against Bruins there.
Just like me in high school. Couldn't score. Hey, let's go. You know what? Let's just throw our plan in the blender. Let's start with the Flyers, and then we'll do the league news afterwards.
All right, we will start with the Flyers. I'm going to start with these last 3 games since we recorded. A good win in Boston, very unexpected. 3-0, 2-0 shutout win with a empty netter from Joel Farabee. 2-1 win against the.
Shout out the moms.
Shout out the moms for real. Shout out the moms. Win against the Blues, 2-1 at home. Moms were there for that. They're all on the ice taking pictures after the game. That was cool. And then the moms left, and so did the vibes. Flyers lose 3-0 on Saturday afternoon. Only mustered 20 shots against the Bruins, which has become a theme here. They had 19 shots in Boston, 21 against the Blues, and then 20 against the Bruins at home. So not many specific things to pick out from those games, I imagine. Just talk more big picture. But I mean, the biggest thing, if we were recording right after that game, would be Matvei Michkov getting benched more or less. I didn't really notice it because I was a little bit inebriated, and I looked out there. I was like, "Oh, Michkov's not out with his normal line." I was like, "All right, I'll be back out there," because he still played I want to say 12 minutes, but not up to that. They got him back 18 minutes.
Yeah, they got him back on the power play, the next power play, but they just sat him for 5 or 6 minutes because he did something. Was this the Boston game or the Blues game?
The Blues game. It was. I think it was early on because I went back and watched the highlights, and the first, I think it was his first shift he got benched after. There was he made a bad defensive effort in his own zone that led to a chance against, which.
So, listening to the 𝙏𝙏𝙎𝙏𝙏𝙏 post game, after that game, he made a bad defensive play that led to a turnover. But the other thing he did, and I've now recognized that he does, is that he gets below the goal line and he stays there. He doesn't cycle through the zone. He kind of just stays behind the goal line and doesn't move around too much, waits for the puck to come to him. And I think they're trying to be no, you got to move around the zone. You can't just sit there and wait for the puck, because if the puck gets busted out, you've got the longest distance to go to catch up. So I think it was a combination of things. So they let him sit for a bit to watch. And honestly, fine. I don't really care. He's a 19-year-old kid. Sometimes you fuck up enough. It's yeah, dude, you got to watch. This isn't punitive in the sense that you're out of here. It's just, hey, you're not taking in what we're saying. Watch what the other players do so that you can learn to do it yourself.
Yeah, I had not noticed that. That's a good point there by you, how he just kind of hangs down low, which makes sense. It's where he does his.
I can't take credit for that. Charlie O'Connor pointed it out on 𝙏𝙏𝙎𝙏𝙏𝙏.
So yeah, Charlie, you miss 100% shots you don't take. Charlie O'Connor, Joe DeMarini there.
Wayne Gretzky.
Michael
Scott.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, you want him down there because that's where he does his offense. But the way the Flyers play, he can't be staying down there. So, and you said, I'm perfectly fine. Sit for a few shifts. I'm just happy. I just don't want to see a healthy scratch, because then that's going to start a whole type another thing with this team and around this team and the media covering it. oh, is Torts the right coach to coach Michkov? And he might not be, but I guarantee there might be columns written already, just waiting for his first healthy scratch, add in some details, and off to the presses there, because that's going to be a talking point as soon as it happens. I'm glad it was just a few shifts. Take a few shifts off, take a deep breath, get back out there.
I do have to imagine that if they do healthy scratch him for a complete game, or pull what they did with Joel Farabee last season, where he played one shift and then sat at the end of the bench, opening and closing the door for the rest of the game, there will be a good reason for it. I don't think Torts would just scratch Michkov because he's like, this team can't do anything, scratch Michkov. Like, I don't think he would take that approach. So I do wonder if it ever gets to that point, maybe it will be warranted in some regards. And look, I have it written in here. Like, do you let them play through this? Because I think there was a discussion. It was like, if a player is struggling, do you scratch them a game to just kind of like shock them into a reset so that they can come back fresh? Or do you let them just keep struggling and playing through it? Because I remember when they scratched Cam Atkinson last year, Torts was like, he was spiraling. It was bad. It looked bad. In all the years I've known him, I needed to just like shake him and be like, hey, like, wake up. Like, you're fine. But I don't know.
I think there's not, it's a case-by-case basis. Like, you're dealing with human beings. Like, you're dealing with, okay, maybe this guy, we give him a longer leash to work it out on the ice. But if we have someone like a Noah Cates who's being healthy scratched, or someone that can come fill that spot, like, maybe you do take a game off. Then you worry, like, okay, we're going to get Zamula out for one game, and he hasn't played since. But before we get into that, Michkov's still doing very well. Still the Calder Trophy favorite at Bet Online, which is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, basketball, hockey to entertainment. Head to Bet Online today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. So yeah, I mean, I also feel like he won't bench Michkov at home. Like, I don't think there's a directive to not bench him at home, but like, I feel like if he were to do it, it would be on the road, just because you don't want to upset your fans even more than they are already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Blues game was at home, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he wasn't benched for the whole game. He missed probably maybe 5 shifts. Like,
you mean a whole game, not just like a sit and watch for 5 minutes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't look, from what we can tell in press conferences and whatnot, Torts is like, this kid is so competitive and wants to do so well and really wants to win. But sometimes you just need to like remember that he's 19 and you need to coach. So he won't. I don't think they'll scratch him without some just cause.
Yeah, I completely agree. And going back to your thing saying, like, do you pull a guy out to reset him for a game? Do you let him play through it? Like I said, I think it does depend on the player, obviously, and maybe longer leashes for different guys. But I don't know if there's anyone you can really single out right now. It's just like the whole team. It's just the whole team. Like, there's not one player playing even particularly well. Like, Bobby Brinks had a few good games in a row, but that's just because he's one of the few people actually generating offense. Like, if the rest of the team was as well, he would just be like, okay, yeah, he's playing his role. But I guess he's the one guy not sucking, so he's then highlighted by default just because he's playing up to not even up to his potential. He's just playing, good hockey, and that's really what we want to see. Just we need more players playing good hockey, and it has to come at some point, right? There has to be some sort of regression here.
I mean, you'd hope so. Like, they must be like spiraling. It's just like one offensive chance missed spirals into another, into another, into another, and then all of a sudden they're just like gripping their sticks. They're like, we can't do anything. It's all falling apart. I just go back to, I think they still care though. Like, this isn't a team that's quitting on their coach. We're like, I think we're past that conversation. Like, you can tell that they are trying, like, they're not phoning it in. And when they fuck up, they are legitimately like pissed off with themselves for fucking it up. They're not like making a blunder play and be like, whatever. Like they look like they're engaged, you know?
Yeah, they just need some confidence. Like we saw that in the Washington game, they almost came back. You see that with teams around the league. Like the Sharks were awful. They got their first win and then won 3 in a row, I think. Like it's there's a lot to do with confidence and momentum, and the Flyers just have none of that right now. And like even looking at their games, like I don't know if they're just disconnected. I don't know if they're bad. They could still very well still be working on that new breakout system because they are. Like, I've been thinking about it. Like, I have seen very few high flips out of the zone, and that was something that was successful last season, but that's not something that is necessarily successful in the long term. Sure, it helps you in the short term, might get a few extra points, but in the long term, you need to learn how to play like, okay, here we can break out of the zone cleanly and then break in. So the Flyers are going through the growing pains with that. I would prefer that to see that this year as opposed to down the road when the Flyers have a few other young guys up. But I don't know if it's going to click at some point, or I don't know if they're going to have to mix in some other different strategy. Because looking at all of their games, how many games do you think they've had an expected goals for percentage over 50% so far this season? At 5-on-5, according to Natural Hat Trick, they've played 10 games.
11?
They played 12 games. 12 games.
12 games.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's even half. I'd say like 4.
It is 2. It is against the Wild. They had 64.6%, and then the home opener against the Canucks somehow 57.3. Like, and those were 2 within the same 4 games, but like starting with the Bruins and going backwards. 33, 40, 41, 45, 64, 45, 40, 57, 46, 43, 47, 37. Like,
so do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the 2022-23 season where they started pretty well. They had like a positive points percentage. I think it was this season. But their underlying numbers were absolute garbage. The reason they were winning was because Carter Hart was carrying the team through. Guess who they don't have? And now they might not even have Sam Ersson, who was able to paper over some of their less than stellar games. I have to wonder if part of that loss against Boston, imagine how deflating it must be as a team to realize that your starting goaltender might not be able to play for an extended period of time. If the underlying numbers, they can't be bailed out by goaltending like they have in years past. So we're seeing the actual results that you would expect rather than Carter Hart stealing a game for a month.
Yeah, and like even towards the end of last season, they were still getting the better of the play in terms of expected goals. Like in their final 10 games, 60, 70, 38, 59, there's a 61, a few 65, 73 and a loss. Like they were still driving play. They just couldn't score or stop the puck. And looking at the underlying metrics this season, they have the 3rd lowest expected goals for per 60, ahead of only Detroit and Minnesota. Expected goals against per 60 is in the bottom half as well, the 12th worst. And then worst save percentage at 5-on-5, 874. And 5th or 6th worst shooting percentage here at 7%. Like they have absolutely nothing going for them whatsoever. And as we'll get to later, their power play has just completely dried up after a hot start. And penalty kill's been doing its job. I think it's top 5 in the league, but not scoring on the power play. You're not doing well 5-on-5. Your goaltending is just goaltending. Sam Ersson is going to miss probably this week. The Flyers are on the road, Carolina, Tampa, Florida. That's 3 losses already. You don't have your starting goalie. Do you start Kolosov and then maybe if he wins or if he plays well, go with him again? Do you alternate them the first 2? Whoever plays better gets the 3rd game. Like it's goaltending situation is even worse than we thought with Ersson out.
Yeah, and I saw on Twitter today, I think it was Jackie Spiegel with the Inquirer, she tweeted that York is going on this road trip, but I think she said no word on whether Ersson is going on the road trip or not. If Ersson's on the trip, that changes the math. I start Kolosov both. But if Ersson is not going on the road trip, I mean, I guess you just kind of have to wait and see. If Kolosov has a decent game, Like, even if they lose, as long as he doesn't get the, like, doors blown off him, maybe you play him a second time.
Yeah, I think he was fine against Boston. Like, the first goal that was,
Okay.
5-hole, he kinda kicked in, but, like, he's just moving there. He's learning the game, and he gave the second one was I forget what it was, but there was nothing egregious there. He's looked fine in his 2 starts.
He's alright, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, because only let's see, they lost 3-0. So one of those was an empty net, so he only let in 2 goals, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it was the, like, slap shot from 𝙏𝙒𝙄𝙏𝙏𝙏 where he was, like, wide open.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, 2 goals against on 22 shots.
Do you
.909
play
save
him?
percentage.
Do you play him?
I start him Tuesday, absolutely. I start
Yeah.
him tomorrow in Carolina. He's gonna get Carolina takes a ton of shots, so let's see what Kolosov can do from the shot from the outside.
buddy.
We know Fedotov can't stop them.
Well, buddy, listen, you wanted to play in the NHL. How about 2 of the highest shot volume teams in the league right off the jump?
Yeah.
God, I watched the Canes play, I think it was the Capitals yesterday, and they had, like, 47 shots on goal or something by the end of the game. That just is oh god, dude, they just overwhelm you. It's insane.
Yeah, Flyers gonna get outshot like 50-20 or something on Tuesday night. It's gonna be crazy because the Flyers haven't been shooting either, and they've been allowing 30 shots to Boston there. But yeah,
well, let's caveat there. They have been shooting a lot, but none of those pucks get on the net. None of the pucks get anywhere near it. I mean, geez, like every time the puck goes off the glass in the back, it turns into a scoring opportunity the other way. Like, they can't hold the zone. This was something I wrote in our sheet too. They end up defending for 30-40 seconds. One guy carries the puck into the offensive zone. He holds it while his line mates change. Next line comes on. He coughs up the puck. That line ends up back in the zone defending for 30-40 seconds. They try and get it up the ice again and just rinse and repeat. They can't hold the zone. And the way their line changes are coming, it just looks completely out of sync. It's the same out of sync, that's exactly what this entire season has been.
Yeah, like, they can't get anything going in the zone. It reminds me of how, like, football teams, as they get closer to the end zone and the field shortens, they have a harder time scoring via the pass because there's only so much room you have to be within the blue line. You have to try to get in on that, and there's sometimes 2 guys just kind of standing around in front of the net waiting for a shot, waiting for a deflection or rebound. That never comes. The guy just skates around or puts it around the boards. What was Ristolainen doing with that slap shot that went around the boards that led to the Bruins' second goal, I think? What was he doing there? Flyers had great pressure, could have tied it up. I think they were on the ice for like 2 minutes. The Bruins were in their own zone. They just can't hit the net, or they can't make the smart play. Like, it's infuriating. And also, the Flyers had a bunch of 2-on-1s, and they don't even get a shot off. I understand making the pass across the center ice is usually a higher expected goal potential as long as you get that shot off. But when this team is playing like it is, shoot the puck. Even if you shoot for a rebound, shoot to the pad, whatever. Either try to hit the net or shoot for a rebound. Like, you can't have multiple 2-on-1s in the same game, let alone the same period, and not get a shot off. It just is what it is.
They might be cursed. Honestly, that Morgan Frost rip into Joonas Korpisalo's glove, that was a great shot. Korpisalo was just there. God, is Korpisalo now like the next goaltender in line who's just going to have great numbers against the Flyers for some reason?
I mean, possibly. They broke their streak since 2011, winning in Boston for the first time on Tuesday. But
so fun fact: the last time they shut out Boston in Boston, I think the goalie was Nakayemi or something. His name looks exactly
Niittymaki.
That's it.
Niittymaki.
Yes, him.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, don't we have that guy in Lehigh Valley right now? Nakayemi.
It is similar. Yeah, it is similar there. But yeah, and then that Saturday game, like, Jim Montgomery's ass is on the line in Boston, and that's a very good team. That's a team that tries hard. Like, that's the Flyers just notched up in terms of pressure and in terms of talent, and like, it was not a good situation there for the Flyers at all.
No, and some of the Boston Bruins, their offseason signings are not going as well as was planned. Like Elias Lindholm, people could have told you That's a bad contract. Nikita Zadorov, he's a fun player. He ain't worth that contract. You could have traded for Rasmus Ristolainen and gotten the same thing.
They still could trade from you. I take Matt Patra plus for Risto there. Get us a good young center. Wouldn't hate that at all. But Lindholm's like a middle six center. He's not meshing yet in Boston. But
how about David Pastrnak? You know, he looks kind of washed this season. You know, maybe he needs to change the scenery.
The pasta's looking a little too limp there.
A little limp, a little soggy.
Yeah, a little soggy spaghetti.
Soggy spaghetti.
Yeah. So getting back to one of my main questions, are the Flyers disconnected or are they just bad? Because like you can look at the roster from last season on paper, yeah, it's just Michkov replacing Atkinson, but it's also not having Sean Walker, which I think Thomas wrote about today on broadsthockey.com. I'll read and subscribe there. They're missing their Sean Walker replacement. Absolutely. Jimmy Drysdale, giving him time completely. I'm not going to hate on him whatsoever, but he needs to learn how to play defense. He missed a lot of his training camps throughout his career. He's missed a lot of time with injury, has not played a ton of NHL games, especially in a good system. He needs time to learn, and that is definitely showing. So didn't really replace Sean Walker, but I don't know if they're, and this isn't a bad thing, I don't know if they're catering too much to Michkov and like playing longer term rather than trying to win games. Because they're trying to win games, like I said, go for the long flip, just try to grind out games. But it looks like they're trying to get to some sort of, okay, we'll play bad for 15, 20 games, and then hopefully they'll connect on the breakouts and stuff, and it'll ramp up. But at some point, we're a dozen games in now, like that has to show it in at least one game. Like there hasn't been one game that's been great. Even against Minnesota, they had like 4 shots in the first half of the game. It hasn't been good.
No. I mean, I'm a big advocate to just let him play. Like this season is all about finding out. I don't care if it's bad. If it would be nice if they were fun to watch and they won games, because that's enjoyable. But as far as Drysdale goes, keep giving him the minutes. Just pile them on like that. Andre looks real. He's looked pretty good in these games. I've seen rumblings like, "Oh, take Drysdale off and put Andre on the top power play." And I'm like, but why? That's not what we're trying to do here.
I wouldn't hate that, but
it'd be cool.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't hate it.
No. Well, until Andre is also terrible, because everyone on that power play unit has gone ice fucking cold. And then we're like, "Oh, Andre sucks. Send him back to Lehigh." But
that's the thing too. Everyone has gone ice cold. No one is hot. No one's remotely warm whatsoever. Like Konechny hasn't had a point since last Saturday. Michkov's stuck at 9 points through 12 games. Couturier 6 points, all 3 goals in the hat trick. Sanheim is 5 points. Farabee, Tippett only has 1 goal, and that was the floater through traffic against the Caps. Like once, you just need one of these guys to get going, and like we'll hopefully see some fun hockey. But we don't know what will do that or when it'll be.
Well, you know what they say about fire? It catches. They just need one guy. They just need one guy to start getting hot and drag his line mates into the fryer. The fryer. That was me trying to say the fray and the fire.
Drag him into the
fryer.
Fry him up, baby.
Fryer Tuck. The next Philadelphia Flyer. Yeah, I just... And it's going to just take time. I don't think there is a quick fix. You want to scratch a guy? Sure, maybe that helps. Maybe it doesn't. I think you just got to play.
I did not see the updated lines today at practice that Charlie tweeted out. Have you seen them?
No, I haven't. What do we got?
Yeah, Michkov, Couturier, and Forster. Then you have Tippett, Frost, Konechny, Kate's Paling, Hathaway as the 4th line. And the other line is rotating between Lawton, Farabee, Brink, and Delorier. Charlie's guess is Delorier is out, but he was getting time in rushes. So basically swapping Konechny and Forster, getting Konechny back on his right side, getting Forster up, another defensive guy with Couturier and Michkov. Like, I like that. I like those lines.
Sure.
Keep that third line together. You keep the pairs together. Like, this is what we were talking about. You want to see some sort of consistency. If it's not working, switch a wing. Don't switch 3 lines. And like, yeah, this is fine. Like keep them together.
Yeah. And like Torts can do whatever he wants at 5-on-5. When do we pull the plug on the current power play units? I'm not, and this doesn't even apply to just Drysdale. I mean the forwards on the power play units. Like who do you take off the top unit though? Like Owen Tippett for Tyson Forrester or for Bobby Brink? I don't know.
Yeah, looking at the power play numbers, they started off power play goal in each of their 4 games, 5 for 19, then went 0 for 6, and then 3 for 8 in their next 2 games. But since that first 4-game stretch, they are 3 for 23 after being, what did I say, 4 for or 5 for 19. So they've gone down quite a bit. Top unit, you got Frost there taking the face off with Konechny, Michkov, Tippett, and Drysdale. I think, I don't know. I want to see more one-time opportunities on the power play. I don't know if that means putting Forster in like the Ovi spot there. I don't know if that means putting Konechny back in that spot. Because I do like having Konechny below the line to like cycle with Michkov. But if you're not setting up in the zone, that doesn't matter. If you're not gaining the zone, it doesn't matter. So,
well, they can't complete a pass to save their life. The only way you open up space for a one-timer is to pass the puck around, and the defenders can't keep up with you. None of them can complete a clean pass. Like every single time a pass hits a stick, they got to juggle it for a second, and then they think, and then they do something. And I'm like, not fast enough. You're not playing with enough pace to open up the space for the one-timers, for Michkov to do his crazy talented stuff, for even Owen Tippett to get a decent shot off, because Owen Tippett, for all his faults, he gets a puck on his stick, he unloads. Maybe he could take a split second to think about it, but he's not getting. His unit mates aren't helping him get the time to do it.
Yeah, like you want the puck on Michkov's stick on that power play unit. You don't want Tippett shooting away. So maybe you drop Tippett down for Brink. Brink's hot. Maybe you bring Forster up for Tippett. And like looking at it, maybe you do swap Drysdale and Andre, and you just get another look there, a left-handed look at the point. It's the same job, but I think Andre's a great passer. I think he's better than Drysdale at that. Drysdale can kind of work his own shot and like work the line a little bit, but that's not what they necessarily want him to do there. So also, I wouldn't mind swapping those two, swap Tippett and Forster as well. I also want to see Couturier on the top unit. Put Couturier there for Frost. Get a big body in front of the net.
Yeah,
you can get pucks in front, and he'll battle and jam them home.
Yeah. Also, they seem to get pretty even split between the two units. It's not like some teams where Unit 1 is on the ice for like 1.5 minutes, 140, and then Unit 2 comes out for the final like 20, 30 seconds of the power play. Flyers have been getting a pretty even split of like a minute per unit. Is that a good thing? I don't know, because it means the first unit only gets like 1 or 2 cracks at it when another team might get a third. But if it is more power play experience for more players, I guess I can see the advantage to doing it that way.
Yeah, over the last 5 games, the second unit has gotten between 8:40 and 9:10. Top unit has gotten between 10 minutes and 11:40. So yeah, very, very similar numbers there. Top unit is the only one that scored. I don't remember. Oh, that was against the Wild. That was the I forgot who scored that one. Maybe Michkov scored that one. No, Konechny in front.
Yeah,
off the weird bounce. So
Mich was 6-on-5. I think they pulled the goalie and they had a delayed penalty.
Yeah, but like that power play goal wasn't even a setup. It was off the boards. It just bounced out in front. Konechny was there. Like, you need more of that. Like, you want to be able to have an Oilers type power play with Michkov, but you're not there yet. You're just not. You have to get pucks on net. You have to get bodies in front. That's what you got to do. But that goes back to, okay, do you want to try to do that to be better right now? Or do you just stick with this, okay, let's build from Michkov, let's try to build this power play and see who fits. Maybe Bobby Brink fits up there, and Bobby Brink's more of a part of their future than we thought before. Maybe Tippett's the odd man out. Maybe he had a great year last year, but he doesn't fit with Michkov or needs to fit on a different line. Like this is what, like you said, fuck around and find out this season. That's what it's all completely about. Like, you should not be locked into any players whatsoever past this coming off season, because that's when it matters. 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. Draft class looks really good. I know Scott Wheeler's rankings came out today, early rankings.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so it's about finding out which of those wingers you want here long term and which ones you don't. And now with this team sucking, it's making me hate the fact that they extended Hathaway and extended all these other guys because they have no pending UFAs except Erik Johnson. So there's no obvious sell targets at the deadline. But I mean, in the big picture, it doesn't matter that much.
No, I don't think so. Like maybe they'll make a hockey trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who knows? But they might also just be building for a player who is not even part of this organization yet. You just mentioned the 6 picks in the first 2 rounds this year. That might be the guy they're building for, and we don't even know it yet. And as far as fucking around and finding out goes, you can't do that one game at a time. You need a lot of time to look at what's going on. And I know like the common approach is 10 games is enough to decide one way or the other on something. If this is a true rebuilding, fuck around and find out season, FAFO, as I try to abbreviate it, you got to give them like 20, 30 games, 25 maybe, before you start really putting things in the blender. Because like 5-on-5, yeah, you can mix that up a little more often because most of the game is played at 5-on-5. The power play units, you just read the numbers of how many minutes they've gotten on the ice. You need a lot of time. You need a lot of power plays to kind of build that chemistry. So I'll give it quite a while. And worst case scenario, some of these guys just aren't good enough and you don't commit to them, or you find a way to move on from them. Hey, it's painful for us to watch. It's absolutely painful for the players because they know they're better than this, but they just can't seem to get it going. And I didn't like Briere and Jonesy from day one. They're like, there's going to be some pain before we get to where we want to be as a Stanley Cup contender, a perennial contender. This is just part of the process. Trust the process.
Trust the process. You gotta shove forward here and go through the bad times. Yeah, and another important thing I think for John Tortorella coach teams, especially young teams, is getting practice time in. And this team has not been able to practice. It's rare to get more than 2 straight days off. They had that before the Wild game. They have it here. They were off yesterday, off today, had a practice today. Then they play every other day until next Monday, and then 2 days off, and then they go on the road to Ottawa. So, I'm not expecting anything at all from these next 4 games. They have to beat the Sharks at home, but this road trip here coming up, whatever happens. They might lose 8-2 every game, and it would not surprise me at all. I'll be angry, but I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be like, oh, I expected better, because you can't. This team is very much still rebuilding. They gave us too much hope last year by playing over their heads. And maybe they are just, underperforming, and it will click at some point. And that could be this road trip. Maybe you need a road trip or something. Like, it's possible. This team, it's not as bad as it is right now. It can't be, can it?
We saw how good they were this time last season. Like, are they just trying too hard? Like, are they trying too many new things? Someone outside just started blasting the Rocky theme song, and it's really bleeding into my. I hope the microphone isn't picking that up, but
I don't hear it. No, unfortunately.
Okay, great. Sorry, listeners at home. You don't get to get amped up. Just me. No, we've seen them be better. The systems can't be that much more difficult than what they were doing last year. Maybe teams have the book on them now, or. I mean, we already talked about how Konechny's playing through something. Maybe someone else is playing through something we don't know.
Yeah,
York is out.
Yeah, it's injuries, it's no confidence, and we talked about it before. It's teams not taking the Flyers lightly. Like, the Flyers aren't going to catch anyone off guard. Like, they know this is a team that's hard to play against. But in saying that, also, be hard to play against. Then hit somebody, be physical. Like, don't give us some sort of excitement, not just dump and change. Every other shift. Or one and done in the offensive zone. Like,
establish the presence.
It's frustrating. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Do they just is it a communication thing? Like, do they not trust each other to pick up what the other one's doing, and they're overcompensating by trying to do it all alone?
I think it's kind of like that, but not in the selfish way. In the way that once someone catches fire, this team will get going. So like, you could see someone like connect near like a tip, be like, okay, once I get going, this team will get going. Let's grip my stick harder. Let's try to score here. But it's just about trusting the process, playing your system, playing within that structure, as Tortorella
playing
said,
your
like,
role, your role.
Yeah, Tortorella has not been like overly upset with the team. Like, he knows there's going to be growing pains, and yeah, it's been a dozen games. Maybe it takes 15, maybe it takes 20, maybe it takes the whole season. But as you keep saying, that's what this is all about. Like, playoffs will be fun, winning a game will be fun here and there, but it's about the long term. And yeah,
I'll take a bad season if it means that we're going to have a fucking great time in 2 years. Like, listen, I bought in on this team on the 2020-21 season. I have seen this team at its lowest. I can deal with another year. I can stomach it.
Yeah.
Oh, the Rocky song just got way loud.
Well, there it is. I heard a little bit.
Yeah, you heard a little bit.
Nice. All right.
My window's closed too, by the way. They're really going.
Well, perfect segue there. I want to at least touch on some positives here, namely Emile Andre, because like when Briere mentioned his name when they didn't draft 𝙒𝙎𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙏𝙀𝙏, people were like, why are you putting Emile Andre in? And how are you comparing him? But I'm not saying he's going to be as good as 𝙒𝙎𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙏 is going to be, but Emile Andre's looked fantastic in his limited time. Like, he's with Erik Johnson. I know he got some shifts with Jamie Drysdale, but I don't think he should go back to the AHL. I think he probably will when York comes back, but like, Igor 𝙒𝙗 is just losing his job right now. He's not translating anymore. He's not playing anymore. Like, Emile Andre, they'll probably send him back down to get top pair minutes with the Phantoms when York comes back. But I just feel like just keep him up and have him run the second power play unit and find out what he can do.
Yeah. It just comes down to numbers. They have too many NHL defensemen. Like, what do you do? Do you take Johnson out and put Igor on the right side? I mean, I think we've talked about it before. Like, the way 𝙒𝙗 is playing, he's just like a third pair guy. And if he's a third pair guy who can only play on the left, you're not going to have a great NHL career. So maybe he needs to learn how to play both sides to just, make himself more valuable.
Yeah, like looking at the Flyers defense situation contract wise, you got Sanheim through 2031. He's top pair, second pair. He can play both sides at the very least. Nick Seeler has that second, third pair left-handed role locked up till 2028. He can play both sides if he has to. But like, besides that, you got York. He's an RFA. He'll get paid. 𝙒𝙗 is an RFA after next year. They can let him go. Andre's 22. Andre's very young. Like, I wonder if this potentially opens the door to them going to Sanheim again and be like, hey, if we can get you traded somewhere where you can go win a cup, go play somewhere in Canada. Like, I don't know where the match would be there, but because 6.25 for Sanheim, a guy who can be probably a great number 3 for a team, like, or a great number 2 with a good number 1. Like, I feel like that's something we'll probably hear more about and talk more about as we get closer to the deadline, but not now in November.
No. And I've said before, I don't think Sanheim finishes that contract in a Flyers uniform. I mean, what's the worst case scenario?
I would like him to.
Really?
I would like him. I feel like he's put in. He's gone through a lot of shit, and he deserves to be here when this team is good. If this team does get good, like we said, he can be that grizzled veteran with Konechny, with Couturier. Like, if Couturier can stay healthy.
I mean, worst case scenario, he's a good player that you want on your team on a good contract. That sounds all right to me. Like, I'll take that.
Yeah, not bad at all.
No, he's really stepped up in York's absence as well. Back on his natural left side. I wonder if that's making a difference in his offense somehow. But no, he can. I'm perfectly content to have him here, unless someone comes with a just fucking awesome.
Do you think Sanheim's doing that all on his own on the left side, or is he just being carried by Risto? First pair Risto for Norris. I mean,
Risto for Norris. People are saying.
Many people are saying.
saying.
Like, Risto could either be playing himself to stay in Philadelphia, or he could be playing himself out of Philadelphia, because big right-handed shot. We have yet to see playoff Risto. Teams are going to want that in the playoffs, and I think he's going to be the player most talked about in Flyers trade rumors this winter.
He's the most obvious choice. Although I don't know, that slap shot, ill-advised slap shot might have brought his trade value down a little bit. I don't know. The improvements that we saw in his first year with Tortorella are real. Like that we've seen now over 2 seasons that he has gotten better. And it took about 100 games for him to do that. So I'm writing off last year for Jamie Drysdale because he was still hurt, had a great big shakeup in his life, right? New team. I'm going to give Drysdale about 100 games as well to start showing the kinds of improvements that Risto did. Different players, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah, like it's easy to look at Drysdale and be like, oh, he's played 159 games, but 123 with them were in Anaheim, where he's playing top pair minutes with God knows who there, like, because Cam Fowler's there. I can't imagine they were paired together, but like, yeah, he was drafted in 2020, I believe. Yeah, drafted 2020. So the weird post-COVID draft. Yeah, he needs time. Like he's gonna suck this year at times. We've seen that already, but it doesn't shake necessarily my confidence or what I think he can become. It shakes it a little bit, but like his potential is still very much there.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left on this contract, and if he's not putting it together by then you have a real conversation about like, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
But as far as the return, 𝙏𝙏𝙎𝙍𝙏 still has no goals, but he did have just a chef's kiss, beautiful assist on his idol Sidney Crosby's overtime winning goal against the Anaheim Ducks last week, and it was just can't do that to Sid the Kid, bud. Can't do that with Sid the Kid in front of you. But anything else about the Flyers we want to talk? Oh, who was the mystery player on the ice today? And then we can talk about league news.
Yeah, Jordan Hall just stirring up some drama this
baby.
morning, tweeting out there's a mystery player on the other rink that they're not able to see. I mean, it's probably just an injured player. Ersson, Cam York, maybe Ryan Ellis. People saying it could be Ryan Ellis, but I think it's probably just Ersson, York. Who else is hurt? That's
Ellis.
That's it. Maybe Zamula getting in some time. They don't want to see what's going on.
Didn't they say he
maybe getting Fedotov some sort of like thing, like work? Who knows?
Maybe Fedotov with his size could be a defenseman.
Maybe. You never know. He skates well. He skates okay.
But the guy on the ice had a beard, didn't he?
Yeah, there were some pictures going around of that rink after Jordan Hall tweeted. So I don't know if that was when it was happening, but yeah, it looked like Nick Delorier shooting at a goalie with some other guy talking to a coach, and the other guy looked like Cam York to me. So
yeah, I'm sure Cam York was one of them.
Yeah.
Not Ryan Ellis back from.
Not Ryan Ellis.
We know what happened to him, right? It was 𝙏𝙒. So I think that's what it was, right? PSOA. I don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah,
that.
Something like that. Something like
𝙏𝙒.
Well, 𝙏𝙒. I mean, we're talking about the Flyers here, so yeah.
Oh, bird. Get dunked on, Philadelphia Flyers hockey team.
Speaking of 𝙏𝙒, Joe, what are some teams around the league that are
fantastic?
𝙏𝙒?
Bro, I love to see it. I hate the fucking New York Islanders so goddamn much, and they are awful. Granted, it's because there's a lot of injuries, but they have been shut out 4 times so far this season. You think the Flyers getting shut out twice was bad? Oh, baby. Islanders can't score to save their life. Barzal, out. Duclair, out. And Sorokin is good, but you can't win a game with 0 goals, guys. So, it just feels so good. Oh, and 3 of those teams that shut out the Islanders, the St. Louis Blues, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Oof. Not exactly the teams that you can look at and be like, yeah, they're good teams. That's okay if we got shut out. Like, that's bad.
Yeah, they scored 1 against the Ducks. I mean, Dostal looks great there.
Oh my god!
But yeah, they're beat up. Romanov, Mike Riley, day-to-day. Pellick is out with upper body injury as well with Barzal and Duclair. So, yeah, The Islanders are extremely annoying. I hate how they're always in playoff contention due to their loser points. So
fuck Lou. Fuck Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, fuck him.
Maybe this
fuck
will
the
be
Isles.
For him. Yeah, fuck the Isles. My number one. I know we've talked about it and people still can't believe it, but they are my number one most loathed team. Like, just I cannot stand them. Yeah. Another team, the Avalanche. It looked like they might be getting things back on track, but then Ross Colton and Miles Wood got injured and are going to be out for like 6 weeks apiece. The good news is Nichushkin is practicing with the team, and Arturi Lehkonen just came off injured reserve today and will make his season debut tomorrow. I just picked him up on my fantasy team because he was available on the waiver wire. So all you fantasy listeners, you might want to go out there and maybe get a shot at him. Speaking of fantasy, I saw that in the fantasy league, you picked up Alex Laferriere, who is a favorite of my weekly fantasy articles for the LA Kings. So,
is he nice?
Yeah. He is, because he gets power play one time.
He's red hot too.
He is red fucking hot. He's had a really strong start to the season, so good pickup. Any thoughts on the Avs other than we have their draft pick?
Yeah, we have the draft pick, so hopefully they don't win the cup or make the conference final this year. I don't think they'll win the division, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, they're getting Lehkonen back, as you said. Nichushkin is coming eligible to play, I think, on the 15th, so they have a few more games without them. But yeah, I mean, their goaltending situation is just the question.
Oh my God.
3 straight 5-2 losses for them. Georgiev is awful. Noonan looked like he might be decent. He's not. Kakkonen got a game there for some reason. He lost. Like, their save percentage is .859. So yeah, that might be worse than the Flyers overall.
They're probably right at the bottom. They're right at the bottom with us.
Flyers .878. Yeah, we could be. I mean, we could be Colorado, but then we'd have Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, and the Stanley Cup in the past 40 years.
Would be nice. Wouldn't have our 2025 first round pick though, because the Philadelphia Flyers have that pick. We do need them to at least not be a bottom 10 team. That's really the
they won't be. They won't be bottom 10.
They'll win the lottery. They'll move up. They'll finish 15. They'll win the lottery, move up to 5th, and we'll lose the pick for next year. Cool. Also stinky. The Nashville Predators. The one reason I point this out is because they built through free agency this summer. Stamkos, Marchessault, Shea. I think Stamkos and Marchessault are going to figure it out. Shea has not looked good outside of Carolina's system. And the reason this is relevant to the Flyers is that if we're unwilling to overtly tank, we might be stealthily tanking right now. Building through free agency might not go as well as we would hope.
Yeah, building through free agency is not the way to go. But yeah, looking at the guys that got, like you said, Shea, Carolina, everyone fucking thrives in Carolina. We see Ghosts there. Sean Walker's playing.
They are one of the most dominant defensive pairs in the league.
Yeah.
I don't have any facts to support that, but every time they're out there, they look fucking unstoppable.
Yeah, and like Marchessault and Stamkos, they're both 34. They're both not the guy.
Way.
They're both not. Yeah, they're both
34.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they both weren't like the number one star on their previous team. Stamkos was the captain, absolutely a star. But Kucherov, Hedman, Point, Vasilevsky, like Stamkos is with that group.
Yeah,
and him, Marchessault, I don't know who their second line center is right now, but because they're keeping that it's Juuso Parssinen there, because they're keeping that top line of Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist together. Like, they need a center, if anything, for Stamkos and Marchessault. And yeah, UC Saros only has a 900 save percentage, so that'll come around. I think they'll come around. I like Brunette as a coach. Barry Trotz has seemingly done the right things ish as GM, so not writing them off yet in the West.
Yeah, Yossi is wow, that Rocky song's still going. Yossi has kind of had a tepid start for the level that he could play at, I think. So, I think the Preds will work it out. Like you said, Saros' save percentage should rebound.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe Morgan Frost is their answer at second line center.
Maybe. I don't know who would go for there, but yeah, we can. Morgan Frost definitely going to be in trade talks once again this winter, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, this is the end of his contract, right? So
yeah, believe so.
We saw Casey Middlestat move last season to the Avs. So
yeah,
an RFA center moved at the deadline. Not out of the realm of possibility, but he has to actually like score a goal to like generate that kind of interest.
Yeah, if he could score a goal, that would be nice. That would be nice.
And then the Oilers, they seem to be getting it together. Although McDavid's injury, you know, they can probably get by without him for a little bit. But if the whole thing falls apart, like that could be trouble. So
yeah, I saw McDavid skated today, so he'll probably come back soon enough. But yeah, I mean, the Oilers' problem continues to be defense. Like, I know Cody Ceci was a plug, but they got rid of him. Broberg was playing well in St. Louis. He's hurt now. Like,
oh,
their
is
top
he?
defense. Yeah, he's out. I think I saw 4 to 6 weeks. I saw like Bouchard's
Jesus.
good on the power play. Ekholm's playing well, but like outside of that, Nurse isn't good. Brett Kulak is their 4th most used defenseman. Yeah, and so I mean they're pretty much a very top heavy team, and you take Connor McDavid off them, it's gonna be a problem. And then you have Stuart Skinner and Cal Pickard rotating in net. They have an 8.86 save percentage combined, so
not great.
Not good.
Not great. But they have enough offensive firepower that you're like, they can kind of figure it out. Yeah. Although we say that about the Avs and they can't figure it out, apparently. But again, like 7 of their top 9 forwards are injured or some crazy statistic that.
They were like without like half of their would-be starting lineup is hurt. So like
it's insane. That's insane injury luck. Yeah, it's 6. They're missing 6. I just looked it up. All right.
All right. Flyer, quick close it out here. Flyers got 3-game road trip coming up.
Yep.
We'll maybe record before that Monday Sharks game, so we'll see there. So just talk about this road trip. Will they win any games, and who will be the positive standout from this trip, do you think?
Who are the 3 opponents again? Run through them. It's
at Carolina, at Tampa Bay on Thursday night. Watch party at Chickies and Pete's. We will be there. South Philly. And then at Florida on Saturday.
God, is there really any possibility of a positive here? Like maybe Sam Ersson isn't injured and gets in a game. I guess that's about the best we can hope for at this point. Boy, that's bleak. That's a bleak week, dude. I
would say Kolosov. Hopeful that would be, I think, the best case scenario is Kolosov looks like an NHL goalie against these teams. I think that would calm a lot of things too. Because like if Ersson, I saw Kevin Kurtz tweeted out he thinks it might be his groin, so I don't want to rush him back whatsoever. But if he is out for any portion of time and Kolosov and Fedotov look like this, we might be talking top 3 pick.
Might be talking. It's time to rev up that tank. I'd also just like to see maybe a couple of 5-on-5 goals. 1 5-on-5 goal.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say a couple, Joe. Come on, maybe one.
Just one.
Maybe one.
Just please. My crops are dying for a 5-on-5 goal. Who do I want it most from? I think it's got to be Frost. Like, come on, dude. Like, you've been so close so many times. Just put one in the net, please. So we can stop talking about Morgan Frost all the time.
I'd say Owen Tippett. I think Owen Tippett. Once Owen Tippett gets going, he's gonna get going here. I'm trying to look.
He was my second choice.
Yeah. Morgan Frost has the 3rd most individual expected goals on the team without a goal, just behind Couturier and Konechny. There, that's at all strengths. So
wow,
he's due. He is due, as they say.
He's had like a couple open nets, missed them. Shoots him right into the glove of the goalie who's making a spectacular save on him. The kid's just cursed, man. It's a shame.
He's cold. He's definitely cold out there.
Ice cold. Score predictions?
Oh,
oh no.
Carolina, they're going to lose 5-1.
Yeah.
Florida. Then they're at Tampa on Thursday. I think Thursday's going to be a close game. Overtime loss. 4-3 there. And then Saturday, like a 4-2 loss in Florida.
Ooh, okay. I will say the Canes go 4-1. They only give up 1 empty net goal instead of 2. Tampa. So Braden Point looked injured in the game
yes.
yesterday against the Jets. That is a big difference for how that game on Thursday could go. I still think Tampa gets it 3-1. And then Florida, I think, is going to be an absolute barn burner. 7-3, 7-2 maybe. Florida, obviously. I don't think the Flyers are going to do that, especially if Bob's in net. He goes sicko mode every time he plays us, right?
And Florida has Barkov back now. They won both of the games in Finland, I believe, over the Stars. So
the first one convincingly.
Yeah, so they're rolling right now.
That might have been a Stanley Cup final preview. Honestly, I'd be here for it. Those teams are fucking awesome to watch.
Yeah. The one good thing about Thursday's matchup from the Flyers' perspective is the Lightning will be coming home from a 4-game road trip from St. Louis on Tuesday night. So maybe they're home and relaxed a little bit too much, and the Flyers can take advantage. But we'll see.
We'll see, indeed.
All right, Joe. Where can people find you?
You can find me at JF DeMarini on Twitter, and you hinted at it earlier. We would like to plug the Ed Snyder hockey crap. I just brain farted when I was trying to do the plug. I'm a professional, y'all see. The Flyers watch party put on by the Ed Snyder Youth Hockey and Education organization at Chickies and Pete's, the big one, on Thursday, November 7th at 7:30 p.m. I will be there. I think you will be there as well, Gilbs.
Yeah.
Can they find you? Can they find you at Chickies and Pete's on Thursday?
Yeah. Just go inside and look for the tall guy in there. I'll be in there.
Yeah. Not 𝙏𝙒𝙄𝙏𝙏𝙏𝙏.
No, not 𝙏𝙒𝙄𝙏𝙏𝙏, not Fedotov. It'll be me.
How about those socials, though? Can they find you on the socials?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at @rgilbertsop. We got to get Blue Sky going. I'm Ryan Gilbert on there. I'm going to try to do a better job of posting on Blue Sky or blue skying. I don't know, whatever we want to call it there.
Great.
All right, then. Until next time. Thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.